Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 Kill Team video, where today I'm going over the updated rules for the Hand of the Archon Kill Team in the new edition. But before we get into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video. Did you find it useful? And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out free in the episode description below, an affiliate link at Element Games and Crossfire Games, and a Patreon if you want to give me some more support as well. But yeah, I'm back doing faction guides, 2 per day, so you're probably watching the second one today, hopefully, and I'm using the official Games Workshop rules so I can post them all, don't have to worry about my own images, so everything's up to date. So let's get on with the review. So for the roster, you're still Recon and Seek and Destroy, so that's unchanged. You've got 9 Operatives, which is unchanged, and you can take an Arch Sarabite, which either has a Blast Pistol and Venom Blade, Splinter Pistol and Venom Blade, Splinter Pistol and Agonizer, Splinter Pistol and Power Weapon, or Splinter Rifle and Array of Blades. And then you've got 8 other Operatives, which can either be the Agent, Crimson Duelist, Disciple of Yelindra, Elixirkant Flayer, Gunner with either the Blaster or Shredder, Heavy Gunner with Dark Lance or Splinter Cannon, and then the Sky Splinter Assassin. And then other than any Agent Operatives, you can Kill Team include each Operative only once, and you can only include up to 2 Darklight weapons. The minor change here is now that you can take the Venom Blade without having to take the Blast Pistol, which is a nice change, so you can take that if you wish, but otherwise your roster selection has been unchanged. When it comes to faction rules, you've got Power from Pain. After a friendly Hand of the Archon Operative performs an action, it gains 1 of your pain tokens if the enemy Operative was injured during the action but wasn't incapacitated, or an enemy operative was incapacitated during the action. If the enemy operative have wound stat of 12 or more, that friendly operative gains 2 of your pain tokens instead, and you can spend friendly operative's pain tokens on the invigorations below when the condition is met. You cannot use more than 1 invigoration per activation or counteraction, except stimulated senses, which can be used in addition to other vigorations. So you've got Dark Animus, so during this operative's activation, before or after it performs an action, you can spend a pain token to get +1 APL until its next activation, which is very good. Then you've got Accelerated Rejuvenation, so use this during an operative's action or counteraction before or after it performs an action. Heal D3 plus 1 lost wounds. This is a new one, so some nice spot healing. Then you've got Vitalized Surge. Whenever an operative incapacitates an enemy operative and that enemy operative is removed from the kill zone, you can immediately perform a free dash action, even if it's from the action that prevents it from performing that dash action. So if you charge and kill someone, you can then spend a pain token to immediately dash away. And then you've got Stimulated Senses. After rolling your attack or defense dice for this operative, you can reroll any of your attack dice result, well, any of your dice results of 1. So you could resolve 2 2s, that kind of thing. So the interesting thing with Stimulated Senses, it used to be rerolling 1. Now you can reroll any 1 single dice. That's a lot better. And now you've got spot healing. Overall, Power from Pain is a lot better. Now you don't have to kill. And the greatest thing, if you injure, like if you can double fight or double shoot, you can injure a Space Marine, so they're to get 1 pain token or another operative. And then if they have 12 or more wounds when you then kill them again, you get 2 more pain tokens or 1 additional. So you have more ways to farm pain tokens, which is really, really nice. Then you've got the rifles ability like Corsairs. Whenever a friendly operative is shooting with a Splinter Rifle during an action which it hasn't performed the charge, fallback, or reposition action, that weapon has the Accurate 1 special rule. Note that operative isn't restricted from performing those actions after shooting. So you could dash before or after this, although you don't get a free dash unless you have a pain token. But otherwise, it's a nice situation overall instead of spending an action point to get balanced, although you do lose the lethal 5-up ability, which is a shame. So for strategy ploys, you've got Blade Artists. Friendly operatives' melee weapons have the Rending weapon rule, which is unchanged, so still very good. Then you've got Merciless Sadist. Whenever a friendly Hand of the Archon operative is shooting against or fighting against a wounded enemy operative, that friendly operative's weapons have the Balance weapon rule, which is really good, because remember, wounded is just any operative that's lost wounds. Then you've got From Darkness Death. Whenever a friendly operative is activated, before you determine its order, you can select 1 enemy operative that the operative isn't a valid target for until the end of that activation. The first time that friendly operative is shooting against or fighting against that enemy operative, you can retain 1 of your normal successes as a crit instead. So this is unchanged, still very, very good. A nice way to ensure crits. Then you've got Denizens of the Night. Whenever enemy operative is shooting a friendly Hand of the Archon operative that's more than 2 inches from enemy operatives, if heavy terrain is intervening or any part of that friendly operative's base is underneath a vantage point, you can reroll 1 of your defense dice. That is okay. It used to grant Super Conceal if you were in 3 inches of your drop zone. This is just bad. I wouldn't use Denizens of the Night. Then for Firefight ploys, you've got Cruel Deception. Use this Firefight ploy during a friendly operative's activation. During the activation, the operative can perform the fallback action for 1 less AP. That's good. Then you've got Devious Scheme. Uses Firefight Ploy after an opponent uses a Firefight Ploy excluding one that costs 0 CP. The next time they would use that ploy, it must spend 1 additional command point to do so, at which point this effect ends. You cannot use this ploy again during the battle until its effects have ended. Still very, very good, unchanged as well. Really good for powerful ploys like Absolute Authority, or ploys your opponent's going to use a lot, and especially if they don't have command point regeneration. Then you've got Heinous Arrogance. Uses Firefight Ploy when it's your turn to activate for an operative. You can skip that activation, unchanged, very, very good. Then you've got Prey on the Wounded. Uses Firefight Ploy after rolling your attack dice for a friendly hand of the Archon operative. If it's shooting against or fighting against a wounded enemy operative, you can reroll any of your attack dice. Really, really good for Spot Relentless. I will say the team has lost Fleet of Foot, which is a huge, huge nerf. I would have rather taken Fleet of Foot over Merciless Sadists. The team has lost a huge chunk of its mobility, unless it has pain tokens, which is going to hurt quite a lot. For operatives, you have your Arch Cyberite, who has a 2 APL, 7-inch move, 4-up save, and 9 wounds. It is a standard profile, but your leader has 9 wounds, everyone else has 8. So Eldari teams as a whole are now 7-inch move, which is great from 6, really, really good. So if you take the Blast Pistol, it's 4 attacks, hit on freeze, 3-4, range 8, piercing 2. So it used to be piercing 1, but 4-5 damage. It's gone down in damage, but up in piercing, so that's okay. You've got the Splinter Pistol, which is 4 attacks, hit on freeze, 2-4, range 8, lethal 5-up. The Splinter Rifle, which is 4 attacks, hit on freeze, 2-4, lethal 5-up. Then you've got the Agonizer, which is 4 attacks, hit on freeze, 3-5, brutal, lethal 5-up shock, so that's unchanged. Then you've got the Array of Blades, which are 3 attacks, hit on freeze, 3-4. Power Weapon, which is 4 attacks, hit on freeze, 4-6, lethal 5-up. And then the Venom Blade, which is 4 attacks, hit on freeze, 4-5, lethal 4-up, so that's been buffed. It used to be 4-4. Then you've got Cunning. In the Gambit step of each strategy phase, if you pass the first opportunity, you gain 1 command point. This is unchanged and really nice and thematic. It basically, if you pass and then your opponent passes, the strategy phase ends. But then if you pass, then you play a ploy, you get more command points as well. So it's a nice gambling mechanic there. The only thing is your Arch Cyberite is a little bit worse, because the Blast Pistol, I mean, you always take the Blast Pistol now, but you can only take it with the Venom Blade, but the Venom Blade is decent, although I kind of prefer the Power Weapon with Splinter Pistol overall. And the other note is everyone's on a 25mm base, which is very, very good, because 25mm bases are the smallest you can use and helps with positioning. Then you've got your Agent, who has your standard profile, has a Splinter Rifle, which is 4 attacks, hit on freeze, 2-4, lethal 5-up, and then an Array of Blades, which is 3 attacks, hit on freeze, 3-4. It has Sadistic Competition, so once per turning point, when a friendly operative gains 1 of your pain tokens, one friendly agent operative that doesn't have 1 of your pain tokens can also gain 1. So you're always locked into taking at least 1 agent, so this is just a nice buff for them. So if someone gets a pain token, they get another pain token. Very, very useful. Then you've got your Crimson Duelist. So she has a Splinter Pistol, which is 4 attacks, hit on freeze, 2-4, range 8, lethal 5-up. A Razor Flail, which is 4 attacks, still hitting on 2s, 4-5, brutal tangle, has brutal display. So once per turning point, when this operative incapacitates an enemy operative within its control range, you can select 1 other enemy operative visible and within 6 of this operative or the incapacitated target until the start of that next turning point. That enemy operative cannot perform control markers or perform the pickup marker or the mission actions rule. So this is nerfed. You used to do it every time you killed someone, but now you can do it once per turning point, but from either you or the target you killed, so that's nice. Then you've got the Crimson Duelist. So the first time this operative performs a fight action during each of its activations, if neither it nor the enemy operative in that sequence is incapacitated, this operative can immediately perform a free fight action afterwards, but can only fight against the target that the enemy operative it was in control range with. This takes precedence over action restrictions. So before you used to be able to fight if someone else was in your control range. Now you can only fight against the same target. So what you can naturally do, because of Tangle, whenever this operative is fighting or retaliating with this weapon, each of your blocks can be allocated to block 2 unresolved successes instead of 1. You can charge someone, block them out, and then fight them to the point they're injured, then fight again and kill them to get 2 pain tokens, which is nice. And if you do it against like a Space Marine to the point where you can get 3 pain tokens from a single operative, that's fine, but it is only 2 to 3 pain tokens for just specifically the Duelist. You're still always taking the Duelist. The fact that it's on 2s is great. It's just a little bit worse. It's better at killing 1 target, but used to be really good at killing 2 and shutting down 2 others for controlling objectives. But otherwise, the Crimson Duelist is still great. You've got your Disciple of Yelindra. They have a Stinger Pistol, which is 4 attacks, hit on freeze, 3-5, Range 8, lethal 5-up Stinger. This is completely changed. So Stinger, when an enemy operative is incapacitated by this weapon, before it's removed from the kill zone, inflict D3 damage on each other of a visible target within 2 of it. And each operative subsequently incapacitated as a result of this will cause it to happen again. So if you kill someone and they explode, then if that explosion makes them explode, then you have a huge explosive reaction. It's great. It used to be doing mortal wounds based on your save stat, so this is a little bit better. It can be quite damaging because it goes to it's lethal 5-up with 3-5. So especially with denizens, well, you know, when you're, you know, from Darkness Death, very, very powerful. Then you've got an array of blades. The Torment grenade has changed. So you select one enemy operative visible and within 6 inches of this operative. That operative and each other operative within 1 inch of it takes a poison test. For an operative to take a poison test, roll 1d6, adding 1 to the result if that operative has a save stat of 4 or worse. On a 3-up, inflict D3 damage on that operative and it gains 1 of your poison tokens if it doesn't already have one. Whenever an operative that has 1 of your poison tokens is activated, they take D3 damage, and you cannot do this while within control range. So this is worse, right? It's fine. It used to make you super injured and then do damage. Now it just does damage in a blast bubble, but not as much. It's just tidied up. It's less toxic, and it just does reliable damage, which procs some of your ploys. You still take the Disciple of Yelindra, but oddly now the Stinger pistol is way better than its Torment grenade. Then you've got your Elixircant, who has a Splinter Rifle, Stim Needler, and Array of Blades, and its Stim Needler is 4 attacks, hitting on 3, 0/0, range 3, lethal 3-up stun. Then you've got Combat Drugs. At the end of the select operative step, if this operative is selected for deployment, select one following combat drug rules for friendly operatives to have for the battle. If you take Painbringer, whenever an attack dice inflicts 3 or more damage on this operative on a d6, on a 6, subtract 1 from that inflicted damage. So this used to be a 6-up feel no pain. It's now worse. Adrenalite as a strategic gambit. Select one friendly operative to have a combat drug to gain 1 of your pain tokens. This is what you're always taking, because every turning point you dish out a pain token and then you give 1 to your agent for free if they don't have one. And then you've got Hypex. You can ignore the changes to this operative's move stat from being injured. This is fine. It used to be +1 movement. They're cowards. We could have had 8-inch move Eldari, but fine, whatever. You always take Adrenalite. Just always take Adrenalite and their Elixircant. Then you've got Administer Drug for 1 action point. Select one friendly Hand of the Archon operative visible and within 3 inches. Then select one of the following for that operative. It regains 2d3 lost wounds, or you select a different combat drug rule for it to have for the battle. This replaces the previous one. You cannot do while in control range. So you still just walk around healing people with, now you heal for better, because it used to be, I think, 1d3 plus 3 or something. It's 1d3 plus 1. But now you heal better and you still have a 3-inch bubble for healing. Very, very good. Always taking the Elixircant just for the free pain tokens. Then you've got the Flayer, who has Pain Sculptors, which are 4 attacks in on freeze, 4/5 ceaseless flay. They used to be relentless, but they're ceaseless. And they used to be 3/5, but now they're 4/5, so a nice buff there. They've got Insensible to Pain, so normal and critical damage of 3 or more inflicts 1 less damage of this operative, which is actually unchanged. It used to be if it was 2 damage or more, so this is a little nerf, but still very good. And then it's got Flay. Whenever this operative is using this weapon, the first time you strike with a critical success during that sequence, you can select one visible operative within 6 inches. And then you've got Flay. Whenever this operative is using this weapon, the first time you strike with a critical success during that sequence, you can select one friendly operative within 6 to gain 1 of your pain tokens. Unchanged, still very, very useful. Doesn't require visibility. And when you've got From Darkness Death, where you use lethal 5-up, very, very useful. You just basically charge someone, get a pain token, and then if you kill them, you get another pain token, and you can bounce pain tokens around. So always take the Flayer. Then you've got the Gunner, who can either take a Blaster or Shredder. If you've watched my Corsair review, you already know the Blaster and Shredder, they've both been nerfed. Well, the Shredder used to be 5 attacks, is now 4 attacks, hitting on freeze, 4/5, instead of 3/4, rending Torrent 2, used to be Blast 2, so it's a little bit worse. And then you've got the Blaster, which is 4 attacks, hitting on freeze, 4/5, piercing 2. It used to be 5/6, it's now 4/5. So that's a little bit worse, but I think you're generally taking the Blaster, unless you're facing non-elites when the Shredder is okay into like Horde teams. Then you've got the Heavy Gunner, who has the Dark Lance, which is 4 attacks, hitting on freeze, 6/7, heavy dash only, piercing 2. This is buffed because it used to be just heavy and it cost 2 action points to fire. It's still the same damage, so you're probably always taking this. Then you've got the Splinter Cannon, which is focused, 5 attacks, hitting on freeze, 3/5, heavy dash only, lethal 5-up. Then the Sweeping Profile, which is 4 attacks, hitting on freeze, 3/5, heavy dash only, lethal 5-up, Torrent 1. It's okay, the Splinter Cannon's fine, but I really like the Dark Lance now, especially as you can dash while shooting. Always take the Dark Lance, and luckily I've built a Dark Lance already. Then you've got your Sky Splinter Assassin. It has a Razor Wing, which is 5 attacks, hitting on 4s, 1-2, Saturate, Seek, Silent. The Shard Carbine, which is 4 attacks, hitting on 2s, 2-2, Devastating 2, Lethal 5-up, which is unchanged. Then you've got Array of Blades. You've got Omen, so in the Select Operative step, when you're selecting equipment, you can select one enemy operative or one other friendly operative. So you reveal your selection when you reveal equipment. Whenever attack or defense dice are rolled for the operative, if it's an enemy operative, your opponent must reroll dice results of 6. And if it's a friendly operative, you can reroll any of your dice results of 1. So this has actually been buffed. It used to be fighting or shooting. Now it's just any time they roll their dice. It's really good for your friendly operatives, but also really bad for enemy operatives. Then you've got Merciless Hunter. If this operative doesn't perform the Mark unique action during its activation, it can perform 2 shoot actions during its activation, but a Razor Wing must be selected for 1 and only 1 of those actions. So you can still double shoot if you don't use Mark. So Mark is 1 action point. Select 1 enemy operative visible to this operative. Until the end of the turning point, whenever this operative is shooting that enemy operative, you can use this effect. If you do so, that operative's range weapons have the Seek Light weapon rule, and the enemy operative cannot be obscured, and you cannot perform this while within control range. So this is unchanged. The only thing that's actually been buffed is that you will now ignore obscurity. So your Sky Splinter Assassin is really good at peppering people hiding in cover, or like lightly wound, like 7 wound operatives hiding behind light cover. Especially once your Sky Splinter Assassin can now start with an extra APL, your Sky Splinter Assassin can be devastating turning point 1 and start killing from turning point 1, which is what used to hold it back from before. So very, very good. For faction equipment, you have Chain Snares, so they work exactly like the Nemesis Claw one. So whenever an enemy operative performs the fullback action while within control range, if no other enemy operatives are within your control range, you can use this rule. If you do so, roll 2d6 or 1d6 if that operative has a higher wound stat than the friendly operative. If any result is a 4-up, that operative cannot fall back and the action points are refunded. Really, really good. You actually take most of the time because it really messes up like shooting teams, especially when they're trying to fall back from you. Very, very good. Then you've got Wicked Blades. You add 1 to the attack stat of friendly operatives array of blades. Really, really good. You're probably always taking this because most of your operatives have Wicked Blades. It makes everyone 4 attacks, 3/4, so your Space Marines, you know, very good. Then you've got Toxin Coating. Up to twice per turning point whenever friendly operatives are fighting or retaliating, and if you select a melee weapon, you can use this rule. If you do so until the end of that sequence, the operative melee weapons have the lethal 5-up. Completely unchanged. It's now limited to twice per turning point, but it was always effectively twice, so very, very good, and it can trigger any operative. Then you've got Refined Poison, up to twice per turning point whenever a friendly operative is performing the shoot action and you select a Shard Carbine, Splinter Carbine, or Splinter Pistol, or Stinger Rifle, or Stinger Pistol. You can use this rule. If you do so until the end of the action, add 1 to the normal damage stat of that weapon. Refined Poison is okay, but I'm probably not taking that. You're always taking Wicked Blades and Toxin Coating, maybe the Chain Snare as well, and then usually I like 2 smokes just to make it safer for you to stage up the board, or 2 stuns, but otherwise very good faction equipment as a whole. So for the Operative Selection, this kill team, if you magnetize, is a 1-box kill team. If you don't magnetize, you will need like 2 more operatives. So the way I've built my Hand of the Archon, I've used the Hand of the Archon box, and then because I have a Drukhari army, I've got 2 different Archon models, Arch Cyberite models, and then I've got 2 gunners and 2 heavy gunners, and an extra warrior if I need to, but I don't really take an extra agent. Generally, you're always taking the Arch Cyberite, usually now with the Blast Pistol and Venom Blade, although if you're into elites, I would recommend the Splinter Pistol and Power Weapon actually most of the time. Then for your kill team, if you're into elites, you take the Blaster and the Dark Lance. Other times you take the Shredder and the Dark Lance because the Dark Lance is so useful, and then you're taking everyone else. So you only actually need a little bit, and if you can't magnetize, you can just eBay a few models or buy some like Hand of the Drukhari characters to represent your leader choices, like I did. But they're a very easy kill team to collect and affordable, which is nice, especially considering they're on 25mm bases, which is really a boon. And they are quite flexible, although you are always probably taking the Dark Lance because the Dark Lance is just way better than the Splinter Cannon. So for the Hand of the Archon overview, They are way better. They are so good now. They're still great into elites because you take the blaster and the dark lance. They've got a power weapon leader, so they're really good at messing people up and forcing crits. Pain tokens are way more easier to get. You get one as a strategic phase gambit with your elixirant. Your agent get one every time it's someone else get one and it doesn't have one. And then also you get them from injuring operatives as well as killing them, and you get 2 if they have 12 or more wounds, which is, you know, technically a bit worse because it used to be if they had more than 10, but otherwise you're kind of like swimming in pain tokens and you can get going quite early from turning point 1. The biggest thing that hits this team is they've lost fleet of foot. So while you have more things to spend on with your pain tokens, healing, and you get better rerolls, and now you can dash anytime, even so if you charge, kill, you can dash out the way. And remember, during counteractions or an enemy operative's activation, if you kill them, you can still burn to dash away, which is very good. But because you don't have fleet of foot, you really struggle to stage turning point 1. That mobility to either do a dash action before or after a move action was really key on what kept this kill team going. You've also lost Super Conceal, which is quite rough. So, you know, this team is better at harassing, and, you know, it doesn't have the consistent movement of like Corsairs. It has burst movement, which does represent the faction more, but it's just strange because it was kind of like an Eldari thing. So the team is a lot slower. It bursts into speed, but it's not consistently fast, which you will find problematic because having 9 operatives, moving and dashing and then doing actions was very powerful. Not being able to do that is quite limiting, and I think it will hurt the team a lot. But they do play really well. And as I said, especially we're going into an elite meta, taking the blaster and dark lance every game is going to be very rewarding, and you have no limit on that. You're probably not taking the blast pistol anymore, which is fine, but now you're free to take the venom blade with other weapon loadouts, which is really good. Overall, I find this kill team very fun and thematic and rewarding. They were already quite thematic, but they're way more. They're still very fun to play, and they're great at like murderizing 7-wound teams, as well as not doing too badly into elite. They were better last time because blasters were 5-6, but now, you know, they're still good. They won't kill a marine in one shot, but they will maim them unless you get a lot of crits with, you know, from darkness death. So they're still a very good kill team and a lot of fun to play. But that's pretty much it from me today. Please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of today's video. Did you find it useful or helpful? And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out in the episode description below, an affiliate link, Element Games and Crossfire Games. And I've got a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. And I'll quickly shout out my patrons. So for my Adepts of the Crit, I have Tom, Supercow, Steven, Sam, Nick, Mr. Meatward, Mercenary Q, Lucas, John Thomas Graham, Fangzu, Draken, Dave Meetsworld, Darcy, Dad of Goldens, Chris, and then from my veterans of the credit of Samja and Ryan. So thank you so much for all your support. It really means a lot to me and helps support the channel. I was actually happy. I did this one early because I love Eldari and I love Drukhari. Hand of the Archon are a dear team to me, and they are a lot of fun to play, and I would be playing them if I wasn't torn between Corsairs and Legionary, but I've gone back to my Alpha Legionary. But they're really fun and really good. I like the changes they've made, but I do miss Fleet of Foot. That's going to be a sticking point for me, but they're a really good thematic fun team, and I'm glad I covered them early. But don't worry, I'll be back with more faction guides if you're watching this as the videos come out. But remember, no matter what happens when you're fighting against a sadistic Drukhari warrior, you always have a chance to win, as long as you can roll a crit.